Ukraine's unmanned arsenal has evolved enormously over the last couple of years. We've seen Kyiv's defense sector produce a dizzying array of innovations, from jet-powered bomber drones to AI-powered kamikaze kill bots. But the latest addition may be the biggest and most impressive yet. Introducing the Sea Trident, a 10-ton beast of the seas, packing enough firepower to threaten the very existence of the Kremlin's Black Sea Fleet. It's no exaggeration to say that this new drone could prove to be a game-changing asset, opening whole new avenues of both offensive and defensive operations to Ukraine's armed forces, while giving Russia a truly massive new threat to worry about. The Sea Trident was shown off for the first time at the Eurosatory 2026 event in Paris. Held every 2 years, Eurosatory is the largest international exhibition for the land and air-land defense and security industry. It attracts tens of thousands of guests with thousands of exhibitors from dozens of countries showing off their latest military innovations, from vehicles like tanks and trucks to small arms, communication systems, and so on. Recent iterations of this event have seen a growing presence from the Ukrainian defense sector, which has quickly become one of the biggest and best in the world. And at the 2026 exhibition, Kyiv-based defense firm Global Mark was in attendance to wow the world with its enormous underwater unmanned vehicle. Measuring up at a whopping 10 meters, 32.8 feet in length, with a width of 2 meters, 6.5 feet, and a height of 1.5 meters, 4.9 feet, this is no ordinary drone. It's more like a supersized torpedo, at least in terms of its aesthetics. Tipping the scales at a colossal 10,000 kilograms, 22,000 pounds, it easily ranks amongst the heaviest drones in the Ukrainian arsenal and is capable of carrying a similarly huge payload of up to 1,000 kilograms or 2,200 pounds. Global Mark representatives also revealed that this drone has an operational range of up to 2,000 nautical miles and a maximum operational depth of 60 meters, approximately 200 feet. It can travel at a maximum speed of 10 knots or 18.5 kilometers per hour or 11.5 miles per hour, with a cruise speed closer to 6 knots, around 11 kilometers per hour or 7 miles per hour. The developer also revealed that the Sea Trident has been designed with a wide array of mission types in mind. Even though it may seem like a purely offensive asset at first glance, Global Mark claims it could be used for the likes of logistics and transport tasks, such as cargo deliveries, as well as strike missions and defensive operations, such as intercepting and neutralizing opposing underwater unmanned vehicles, for example. It's worth noting too that the company hasn't yet revealed how far along the platform's development is, or how soon it could be rolled out to service in the Ukrainian armed forces. However, the very fact that Global Mark was willing to show off this drone at the Eurosatory event suggests that it's likely quite deep into the development process. And the Sea Trident already has Russia running scared. One of the country's military experts, Vladimir Yeran-Ossian, an associate professor at the Financial University under the government of the Russian Federation in Moscow, shared his thoughts about the Sea Trident in an interview with one of the country's biggest weekly newspapers, AIF. Initially, Yeran-Ossian attempted to play down the innovation, claiming that the Sea Trident wasn't actually a true Ukrainian innovation, but was instead likely to be made up of different parts produced in Western countries like the United Kingdom, Germany, and the United States. He also suggested that Global Mark might have been lying or exaggerating about the drone's technical specifications and capabilities, before admitting that it could be used to strike numerous pieces of port and coastal infrastructure, for example sea terminals or loading stations of oil and gas products, bridges, dams, and possibly hydroelectric power plants. The expert then added, "Surely the enemy will try, with the help of Sea Trident, to sink large warships or submarines of the Russian fleet." He went on to spout the usual Kremlin-style propaganda, claiming that there's no real reason to worry, as Russia has faced numerous Ukrainian and Western drones in the past and adapted to them. He outlined a list of potential defenses the Kremlin could set up to counter this threat, like port entrance barriers, special listening posts to scan for the sounds of incoming threats beneath the surface, and even military divers patrolling key coastal locations. In reality, however, none of these measures would necessarily be enough to counteract the massive threat that the Sea Trident poses. Its advanced navigation systems could allow it to easily evade or circumvent Russian barriers, adjusting its depth and trajectory to strike its targets with impunity. Additionally, while Yeran-Ossian claims that the Kremlin's forces have successfully dealt with Ukraine's drones in the past, there is an enormous amount of evidence to disprove that. Indeed, the war has now reached a point where barely a single day passes without fresh reports of yet another Ukrainian drone strike on Russian assets and infrastructure. Kyiv's forces have been systematically eradicating Russian targets one by one, damaging and destroying everything from naval vessels to oil terminals and ammo depots, and the Kremlin's army has repeatedly failed to stop them. Its radars have been too sluggish, its air defenses have been insufficient, and its forces have been caught off guard over and over again. This is equally true on land as it is at sea, as we've seen Ukraine's forces make strong use of their air and water-based drones, as well as missiles, to carry out numerous successful strikes on Russian ships in the Black Sea and beyond. In fact, these attacks began way back in 2022 during the opening exchanges of the war. Mere weeks into the conflict, for example, in March 2022, Ukraine used a Tochka-U ballistic missile to sink a large Russian landing ship in the occupied port of Berdyansk. Only a month later, Ukraine's forces celebrated one of their most iconic victories when they used their own Neptune anti-ship missiles to eliminate the Black Sea Fleet's flagship vessel, the Moskva missile cruiser. In the months that followed, we saw the likes of landing craft, assault boats, and support vessels either damaged or entirely destroyed, and as Ukraine's forces grew even stronger over the years, more and more of the enemy's vessels were eliminated. Even Russia's submarines weren't immune to these strikes. In September 2023, for example, Ukrainian missiles penetrated the hull of the Rostov-on-Don, and in December 2025, Ukraine used both aerial and surface drones to strike a Russian Project 636 submarine. Kyiv's forces have also destroyed the rail ferries that help Russia funnel supplies to Crimea, slowly starving the occupied peninsula of ammo and other military equipment, and every single year of the conflict has seen numerous ships of various sizes and classes sink to the briny depths or have to be towed away for costly repairs. These attacks have proven so effective and impactful that they've almost entirely nullified the Black Sea Fleet. As the Kremlin's commanders saw that more and more of their ships were being damaged and didn't have the necessary defenses to deal with Ukraine's UAVs and missiles, they began to move them further and further back from the conflict zone. As time went by, there were fewer Russian ships sailing across the Black Sea, with most of them simply sitting in ports or shipyards, hiding out and hoping that Ukraine would leave them alone. This in turn meant that there were fewer vessels actively launching the likes of Kalibr-class missiles at Ukrainian towns and cities. In other words, by counteracting the Black Sea Fleet, Ukraine was able to decrease the power of Russia's bombardments and save countless lives in the process. In short, it transformed the Black Sea Fleet from an active and potent threat into a veritable liability for Russia. Rather than using its naval vessels to strike its opposition and extend its advantage on the ground, the Kremlin is now unable to extract almost any value from these assets and instead has to spend most of its time, money, and resources either protecting them or repairing them. And the most incredible part of all of this is that Ukraine pulled this off without a conventional navy. It relied mostly on drones and missiles to defeat what was supposed to be one of the strongest naval forces on Earth, and the Sea Trident has the potential to take its naval operations to an exciting new level. Now, before we get into how this new underwater drone might be used and the unique advantages it brings, there's more where this came from. So if you're getting value from the military show, don't forget to subscribe. Ukraine has used water-based drones before. There's the Maritime Autonomous Guard Unmanned Robotic Apparatus, or Magura V5 for example, developed for the use by the main Directorate of Intelligence of Ukraine (GUR), and capable of carrying out a range of tasks, including surveillance, reconnaissance, maritime patrols, mine countermeasures, search and rescue, and combat missions. These drones entered service in 2023, with subsequent years witnessing the arrival of the V6 and V7 models. Costing around $273,000 per unit, the Magura V5 has proven incredibly effective on the battlefield, directly contributing to the destruction of numerous Russian vessels, including Akula-class landing craft, Tarantul-class missile corvettes, and patrol ships. But the Magura has its limits. The V5 has a maximum payload capacity of around 300 kilograms or 660 pounds, for example, and an operational range of around 800 kilometers or 500 miles. Even the more advanced V7 version can only carry a 650 kilogram or 1,433 pound warhead at distances of up to 1,000 kilometers or 620 miles. The Sea Trident is better in almost every aspect. It's bigger, bulkier, and capable of carrying significantly more firepower over far greater distances. The fact that it can carry up to 1,000 kilograms or 2,200 pounds of explosives puts it in a completely different class from most other drones Ukraine currently uses. While smaller drones may only be able to deal superficial damage to Russian vessels, the Sea Trident packs more than enough firepower to take out even the biggest targets. Plus, since this heavy drone operates under the water's surface, it should be able to strike the likes of submarines and cruisers in their weakest locations, blowing holes in their hulls that could quickly cause them to flood and sink before their crews can carry out emergency repairs. The Sea Trident's vast range is another distinct advantage that elevates this asset above most other drones Ukraine has used up to this point. Since it can travel up to 2,000 nautical miles, the equivalent distance of traveling from Odessa on the southern coast of Ukraine to the coastlines of Spain or Algeria, the Sea Trident would have no trouble traversing the entirety of the Black Sea. In fact, it has enough range to travel from Ukraine to Russian port cities like Novorossiysk or even the occupied Crimean port of Sebastopol before heading back to Ukraine without any risk of running out of fuel. That opens up countless opportunities for Ukraine's armed forces to plan and execute their operations in the foreseeable future. With a weapon like this in their arsenal, they'd find it easier than ever to orchestrate devastating strikes on Russia's naval assets, and the Kremlin would effectively have no way to protect its ships. Even if it relocated some of them through the Kerch Strait and into the Sea of Azov towards other port cities, the Sea Trident would still be able to find and destroy them. The fact that the Sea Trident travels below the surface also makes it a very different proposition for Russia to deal with compared to a surface-level drone like the Magura V5. While surface drones are designed to be difficult to detect, they can still be spotted by planes or drones overhead. However, by traveling up to 60 meters underwater, the Sea Trident will be impossible to spot from above. Russia will have to rely on the likes of underwater dive teams and advanced radar or sonar systems to have any chance of spotting these drones. This too should help Ukraine when it comes to carrying out surprise strikes on enemy vessels from below. And the very fact that a drone like this exists will strike fear into the hearts of Russian sailors and Navy personnel, because even if the water seems clear, they'll know that a 2,200-pound warhead could still be heading their way, hidden beneath the waves. The Russian Black Sea Fleet has already been running scared for several years, and the Sea Trident gives it a whole new nightmare to fear. This may make the Kremlin's naval commanders even more reluctant to use their ships, preferring instead to keep them close to the coast or docked in port, rather than sending them out to sea to fire missiles and launch drones at Ukrainian targets. And the benefits don't stop there. During the Eurosatory exhibition, Global Mark also announced that the Sea Trident is equipped with autonomous control systems and adaptive navigation. That means it can carry out its long-range missions with minimal operator involvement. In other words, this beast doesn't even need a pilot. Most of the time, it can rely on its own built-in AI systems to help get it where it needs to go, adjusting its course while en route to its destination in order to give it the best chances of achieving any objective it's given. And as stated by the developer itself, this drone can be assigned a surprisingly broad range of objectives. Its most obvious use would be to carry its payload all the way to an enemy vessel and ram it from below, triggering a devastating explosion that would quickly sink most ships. However, it doesn't necessarily need to carry any explosives at all. Global Mark notes that it could be used for transporting supplies across bodies of water, which could prove useful in the future if Ukraine's forces were to attempt to fully liberate Crimea, for example, or if they needed to move ammunition and other resources from one coastal location or port to another, with minimal chance of them being intercepted on the way. The operational opportunities simply go on and on, with the manufacturer also noting that Sea Trident drones could be used to patrol friendly waters and intercept enemy drones as well. In short, this is a remarkably versatile addition to the Ukrainian drone army. Of course, like any other drone, it's not perfect. It has its limitations that Ukraine's unmanned system forces will have to adapt to if they decide to introduce this weapon into the war with Russia. For example, it's not the fastest drone around. The Magura V5 can reach peak speeds of around 42 knots, approximately 78 km per hour or 48 miles per hour, and cruises at around 22 knots, 41 km per hour or 25 miles per hour, while the Sea Trident moves significantly slower. This could potentially put it at risk of being intercepted more easily if Russia can find out how to spot it. However, it's clearly being crafted with the element of surprise in mind, and the fact that it moves so slowly may make it less likely to appear as a threat on Russia radar screens. It may look more like a large fish or a floating piece of debris than an imminent explosive risk, for example. Additionally, even though the Sea Trident can operate below the surface, it can't go too deep. Its 200-foot maximum dive distance would make it unsuitable for use in the likes of deep sea or ocean-based strikes, meaning that it will mainly be used in shallow water and coastal locations. As far as Ukraine is concerned, however, that doesn't really matter. Ukraine's forces don't need to worry too much about attacking Russian ships at sea, since so many of them spend most of their time sitting in shallow water docks and ports, the exact locations that the Sea Trident was created for. This gives Russian commanders a veritable catch-22 dilemma. If they move their ships out of port and into the open sea, they become much more vulnerable to aerial drone or missile strikes, which could sink them before they're able to make it back to base. If, however, they leave their vessels in port, the lethal Sea Trident drones can pick them off with ease. On top of that, this new heavy drone could also be used in attacks against key pieces of infrastructure, like the support beams of the Crimean Bridge, for example, or ports where oil and other resources are loaded onto Russian Shadow Fleet tankers. Overall, it's yet another valuable addition for Ukraine. It's also a testament to the ingenuity of the country's defense industry, which continues to go from strength to strength. While Russia is struggling to cope with countless problems, from its failing economy to its stalling frontline forces and catastrophic losses, Ukraine is quietly but confidently going about its business, both at the front and far behind. Its soldiers and drone operators continue to deal devastating losses to their enemy, while its defense contractors continue to innovate and excel, producing an ever-expanding array of weapons, vehicles, and unmanned systems with the potential to help Ukraine become even stronger than ever before. Ukraine also continues to benefit from the generous support of its NATO allies. You can learn more about that in this video, which looks at how the alliance is building up to its biggest ever financial commitment to Ukraine. Alternatively, check out this video for a look at how Russia thought it had outsmarted Ukraine, only to be proven utterly and embarrassingly wrong all over again. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to the Military Show for more content just like this.